Sam O'Reilly with a Fight Talk podcast. Myself and the fucking he's hammered. Look at his fucking eyes.
Back to reality.
Yeah, we're back. We're fucking back. I'm back. A few hours ago, I thought I was going to die, and now I'm here sitting drinking Iron Brew. Tyler Goodjohn's on the Iron Brew.
I basically saved your life, innit?
We're living. Your fucking wife saved me. You did fuck all.
Done the job. What's happening? How are we? All right.
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Tyler Goodjohn, good to see you, mate.
Good to be here. Thanks a lot, guys.
You're not hungover, are you? You're not in the state easy, are you?
No,
he's an athlete.
Not as bad, yeah.
He's an athlete. Things been alright?
Yeah, good. Yeah, all good, mate.
Yeah, a lot to go over, man. So let's start at the boxing that we were at. I don't know if the fucking Craig can remember anything, but I'll talk about what I remember.
Tell me about your view.
Alright, let's not get flash, mate. You know what I mean? You're in a box, but I ended up sitting with a mate who's a photographer, so I was on the balcony. It was a decent seat. You know what I mean? It was a good seat. But yeah, where do we start? What was the first couple of fights? Charlie Edwards fought when there was about 11 people in the arena. Apparently, Kal Yafai. Which one was it?
What do you mean?
One of the Yafais fought last night.
Yeah, Gamal.
Yeah, before the doors opened.
Nice.
Baffles me. It's really weird.
Yeah,
apparently, he was going to be afloat, and then he fought at like 10 to 5. Doors opened at 5.
Oh, really?
Bizarre.
Yeah,
But basically, Charlie Edwards is chasing a fight. What do we think of Charlie Edwards?
Yeah, he's a good boxer. Yeah, he's tired. He's technically he's very good, isn't he? Yeah. Well-schooled boxer. I'll rate Kal Yafai. I think he's really good, and I think he's a big puncher for obviously his weight as well.
Well, he's super fly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Super fly. My problem with Charlie Edwards is I find it bizarre he won the British title and then vacated it and fought two guys that are, in all due respect, they're journeymen. He fought Derbyshire, and then last night he beat Little. What's his name? Mark Little, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Brad Little.
Danny Little?
Bradley Little, no.
No, not Bradley. Just making words up now, mate. But he fought guys that he shouldn't really be in. He's done his learning fights. He fought for a world title, then won a British title. I don't quite understand the route they're taking. They're hoping to get a voluntary defence off your fight.
I think the trouble is obviously he's dived into a world title fight, and then anything off the back of that now, it's sort of like now he's rebuilding after a world title fight when really he should be building on the fact that he just fought for a world title really.
Yeah. It's always hard when you go in to fight for a world title and it doesn't go your way, because then you get judged off everything else you do, don't you?
Yeah.
So like Tyler said, your standards are set differently, so it's not, even if he came back down and fought for a British title, which he did, and then fought for one of the made up WBA belts,
he didn't even fight for it in the end,
which he was supposed to.
Yeah.
You're still going to get judged on that because you've already fought for a world title, so everybody just sees that as below your level. But I think he's improving under Adam Booth. I don't know how hard he hits for a super flyweight, but he's got good footwork, he's quick.
Yeah, I like his feet. I think he's got decent feet. I think he's a good mover, but I'm a bit confused about the route he's taking, to be honest with you. But there's not that many big British names really down there, is there, for him to fight Superfly? So if fight makes sense, I guess it will be on an Eddie show soon, I'd imagine. Yeah, he's a good fighter. Reece Bellotti was another one of the smaller guys on the card. I think he's special, man.
Yeah, he looked good.
What are your thoughts on Reece Bellotti? Because he's one of these guys. He has a lot of stoppage for a smaller weight. He has more stoppages than most boys. So is he someone you think is a standout, or do you think he's just not maybe faced the opposition yet that we can judge him?
No, I think he's a good fighter. His work rate, he's got a very good work rate. I think it's one of them, like you say, where as he goes on against better opposition, you're obviously going to see the better, the best of him really. But I'm impressed with what I've seen of him so far. Like I say, I think he's got really good work rate and obviously technically very good. So yeah, you'll see when he goes obviously British and beyond that, how good he is. Yeah, he's a good fighter. What
would you reckon? World champion in the making?
It's hard to say.
Steep?
It's hard to say because of people always be boxing, but I thought Ben Jones was a good fight, like a good step up. Ben Jones was some WBO Intercontinental champion. And
he's been around a long time, Ben. I mean, he's fought for Commonwealths, and he's been in with good people himself. He's a hard career, Ben Jones. He's a tough man. And I thought Bellotti dispatched him relatively easy.
Beautiful finish.
Beautiful.
But what I'd say is the blueprint to beating Bellotti's already been laid down by Jason Cunningham. And if you can take his power, Jason Cunningham schooled him for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Just laterally moved side to side, sneaked in a couple of uppercuts, and he was down on the cards. I'm pretty sure he was down on the cards in that York Hall fight, Bellotti. But like you said, he's a Jimmy Mack fighter. He's got an engine for days, so he just keeps working away, and he does carry that power. So last night, beautiful finish, nice shot.
Yeah, I think he's definitely getting better as well. You know, you see some guys, they can't not stagnate early on, but you don't necessarily see a progression.
Yeah.
With him, I think you really do. I think you clearly see a progression in him, which is good.
Yeah,
So,
he's quality.
Who else was on there before? We had there was one more good fight before Ted, wasn't there? Or have I missed one? Oh, no,
Felix Cash.
Felix Cash, that was the one I'm thinking of.
That wasn't that great. It was alright.
What do we think of Felix? You're a guy that I'd imagine will know him pretty well, Tyler. You know, you're in and around the Sims camps and stuff. What do you think of Felix?
Yeah, I'll rate him. Like, I remember him from the amateurs and that as well. Yeah, like he's a clever boxer. He's stylish and everything else. Again, you're going to see how good he is. Obviously, when he steps up in his opposition and that. But yeah, I remember him right back from, like I say, the amateur days and that. And he was always been like really good, stylish, technical boxer. So yeah, you just got with them kind of guys, because they've got that style and everything else. I think when they're in a hard fight where there's someone who they're not just going to blow away and look brilliant against, that's when you're gonna realise how good they are, when someone's standing there and giving it back.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see what they're made of. So
I think titles this year really, and he's done his learning. I'd say
it's just such a weird leap, like for us to be invested in that as a fan or somebody who's watching. Scraping an undercard. Right, he's ready for titles now.
Yeah.
Well, how am I invested in that? I think what he did with Cheeseman was good. Putting him against Carson Jones, because it's a step up. It's like a co-main, if you like, and that gets people a little bit more invested. But
yeah.
They need to do more of that. There's a lot of guys in Matchroom for me who just fill undercards time after time. Man, it's weird, and you wonder how long they can do that for.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Here comes the fucking rain. That's gonna
Yeah.
a little background noise for you. But no, I agree. Felix, he's kind of, they haven't given him any test of any substance that we've been able to see. So I guess you're right, but maybe his test will be a Southern Area title fight. You know what I mean? He's a middleweight, so MH Leg's going for he might be a good kind of standard for him to do his fights on the big stage.
It's a good weight middleweight, like Southern Area level. There's a lot of good tough fighters about.
There is.
So yeah, I think even like you say, even Southern Area sort of level, you know, it's going to bring the best out of him, because like I say, there's some good fighters about. Like you got Elliot Matthews and people like that. You know, sort of like not really thought about when it comes to TV and stuff like that, but they're good fighters.
Yeah, and they're the guys you need to beat, obviously, to be the best domestically. You want to go through them routes. You know, Spider Richards, he beat Higgins in the Southern Area fight when he was down at super middle, and it was a great learning fight. Some people thought he lost. I thought he nicked it. Yeah. But Isaac Chamberlain also had the same when he beat Wadi Camacho. You know, we're going to come on to the whole situation, but I'd like to see more of Eddie's guys tested at Southern Area level. Let's take the bit more domestic route rather than let's throw an international title in there for no apparent reason. You know what I mean? I get it. It makes money. Necessarily matching with other promoters ain't that easy sometimes, but
I wonder if it's ticket sales. I wonder if they can keep those people at that level and still generate the same number of ticket sales. Because then why would you fork out money to sanction, and why would you fork out money for bigger opponents that early if you don't?
I think the biggest thing is just, you know, you get these fighters that, you know, like I think the perfect example, you know, and he's a great fighter, I think, but you got like that Anthony Yard, you know, like Frank Warren, where, you know, he's a great fighter and he's got a massive future, everything else, but he's fighting in these WBO in the Continental against 18-0 Latvians and no one's heard of. But, you know, which looks amazing on paper, but then if you were to look at the guy's record, you know, and he hasn't fought out of his hometown in 18 fights against, you know,
100%. And it's true. It's a good point. I mean, you look when Anthony Yard fought Southern Area, he beat Chris Hobbs and he beat him badly. Yeah. So we kind of saw what he had. So now let's go English, let's go British, but they didn't. You're right. They went that WBO route, and it kind of stops being. You can't compare because we don't know who this guy is. No. His paper might say 18-0, but like you said, who's he beat? So
he's fighting boys who got knocked out by Callum Smith last year. Do you know what I mean? So it's not really a gauge on how he's progressing. But that last time he fought that Skircha or whatever he was called. Guy gave him a hard time, man.
And he'd been in with a few.
Guy gave him a hard time.
Yeah, I think like more like, you know, you get like Frank Warren and people like coming on going like, you know, raving about how good he is, but actually like he can't be that. impressed with him if he's putting him in with these guys, not going down the English and British route, because there's something there that sort of says to me that actually, you know, it's a bit of a risk, and he done a bit of a calculated risk, and he don't know if he can take him down that route. So maybe we'll go down the other, do the WBO Intercontinentals. It's a bit safer to do it that way. And I think, like, you know, when it says that, when I see that show come up and it's like, oh, WBO Intercontinental, I don't even want to watch them shows, because I just think, do you know what, it's like so and so against another, you know, Eastern European guy that no one's ever heard of, but he's got a good record, or, you know, on paper it looks brilliant.
But a belt doesn't mean anything, does it? It doesn't grab your attention and go, this is a meaningful fight. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, let's move on to Ted Cheeseman. You touched on it. He fought Carson Jones. Carson Jones has fought over here how many times? He's like Linares. He loves Eddie money, doesn't he?
6 or 7.
I'll come over, Eddie. Just pay me, man. I'm coming. But he's a great test for people. People remember the Kell Brook fights where, was it the first one where he tested Kell and he pushed him. He's fought Rose. He fought Ben Hall, who, you know, I think it was too early for him. I love Ben, but probably a bit too early for him. But Ted was only in his 13th fight last night, and for me, you know, I know we might disagree slightly on this, but I think he proved he's special. I think he's special. I think you look domestically, for me, he's the best 154 in the country. I don't think there's really...
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think Byfield beats him.
Do you?
Yep.
I'm not convinced. I know Byfield, we like it. He's a switch hitter. He's very difficult to gauge, but I think Ted is... He can box in a phone box. He can box at range. I think he's got it. I think he can deal with all styles.
I think he's quite heavy-legged. I'm not saying he moves poorly. I think he's got good movement. He's got that kind of Golovkin-style movement where he just marches people down. But he's quite... When you watch him, it's quite obvious what his plan is. And I think Byfield does well moving backwards, does well on the front foot, can move to side, can switch hit. I don't think they'll make that fight. I don't think.
I wouldn't risk it.
So I think Byfield beats him, but I do like Cheeseman a lot. The only thing I'd say last night was, if that's Carson Jones that's rolled up, maybe not in the best shape, he did win a few rounds, man. Gave Cheeseman hell for a few rounds.
Is that not experience? Like, how many was he? 50 pro fights or 48? He's
over 50, I think.
You know, so 4 times the amount of pro fights as Ted. I think experience is going to win you a couple of rounds. You know what I mean? Let's not fucking play that down. But I think Ted's good. I think he's got it. What do you think?
Yeah, I really rate Ted Cheeseman. I think he's really good. I've sparred with him a lot. I'm really impressed with him. I think, to beat Carson Jones in your 13th fight at the age of 22.
Is that what he is?
Yeah.
He's young.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
That is young. I thought he was a bit older than that. So
it's brilliant. I really rate him. I think he's very good.
Byfield, what do you think of a Byfield fight?
I think I do. I think that's a big risk because he's very awkward and he's just so unpredictable, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so I think probably Eddie would probably try and swerve that fight a little bit, but I do think Cheeseman. I think Cheeseman will win it. So far, what I see of Cheeseman, I think he adapts very well to any fight really. To go from an English title fight to fighting like a world gatekeeper, like Carson Jones.
Wasn't it Margarito who fought like 1 or 2 fights ago? I mean,
Jones' last fight. Yeah.
So there you go. And again, Margarito probably over the hill, but the caliber of people we're talking about. So Ted's done well there.
He's got the full package. He's got the boxing ability.
He's gonna say it.
He's got the promoter.
Go on, say it. He's got the good looks.
He's got the good looks, man. He's a handsome bastard, Ted Cheeseman. So
you're such a prick. You're such a prick.
I hope he never ever listens to this.
He might not be the best
looking.
looking.
He might listen to this one if he's on it. Oh no.
Yeah.
I thought he looked good last night. It was an acid test, and I was impressed with how he bit down on the gum shield and he fought well over 12 rounds. 10 rounds.
10 rounds, yeah. All 10 rounders. Not all 10 rounders, the main 2. I don't know if you noticed, you were opposite side for, I think it's his dad. Is it Wayne? Wayne, isn't it? Is his dad?
Yeah.
He goes mental when Ted's in there. You got the whole Millwall fucking lot going crazy, and you got Burma's in all shouting Cheeseman. The dad's giving, mate. It's crazy to see. And you think, fucking hell, he's got a good following as well. So no, it's exciting times ahead for him. Definitely. What you do with him next, I don't know. He was due to fight JJ Metcalf for the British. That got mandated at one point.
Yeah.
Whether that happens or not, wouldn't surprise me if it don't.
No.
But who knows what the next route for Ted is? But some good fights out there.
It's got to go. Who's the British champion that way?
Well, no one, because Smith and Williams
Yeah.
obviously had their couple of fights, and Williams was the British before that, wasn't he? So
Yeah.
I'm sure they could get a vacant title shot against someone that they think.
He must be at that level. He's won the English already.
I think he's at that level, definitely. But now that he's won the WBA International, was it last night?
Yeah, something like that.
Whether they consider it a step back to go British.
The Joe Fournier belt.
Fucking Joe Fournier, what a guy. But good fights ahead for Ted. Then we move on to Buatsi, who, you know, Jordan Joseph, small hall fighter, Goodwin boy, love him to bits. I was chatting to Kevin Campion beforehand, and you know they're not stupid. They knew what kind of test it was for Jordan. I think Josh is just a class apart. Those guys, isn't he? Tyler, you'll know better than me, right? When you're a guy who's on the small hall scene, and you're selling tickets and you're grafting away, and then you get given an opportunity on Sky, where you know, listen, let's not be stupid. You're not going to win the fight. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's cruel in a boxing game where one punch can change things, especially at light heavy. But let's be honest, Jordan Joseph was never going to win that fight last night, in my opinion.
No.
Do you take it solely for money and exposure, or do you deep down think you can do it? Because it's a fighter's mentality to believe they're the best in the world. Surely,
I personally, I think that you'd go into any fight 100% believing you're gonna win it. Like I say, I think being on the small hall cards and then getting the opportunity to then fight on Sky when you've never done it, it's a massive thing. I think he went in there with the thought that he's gonna cause an upset, but it's hard, isn't it? It's like it's such a big thing. You train all your life for opportunities like that, to box on TV, be it the O2 and everything else. So when it comes up, you grab it with both hands. And like me personally, if I went against Floyd Mayweather, I believe that I'd win. Somewhere in my head, I think.
Yeah. I think you'd win as well. We've
got your back, don't worry.
But that's the fight mentality. You always, if you go into a fight believing you're going to get beat, there's no point even turning up, I don't think. But it's a hard one when you'll come up against someone like that, red hot,
an Olympian, like,
fucking
who's.
He looked sharp last night though.
See, what we didn't see, obviously being there, we didn't get to hear the commentary. Now, from what I'm being told, and that people think the commentary was ridiculously overhyped. He was compared to Holyfield at one point, or Hopkins it might have been actually, sorry. I don't know, but do we have a tendency to sort of want to rush these guys, or should they be rushed because they're Olympians, and what good is it necessarily fighting a small hall guy that you're going to blow out in a couple of rounds?
I'm of the opinion they should be fast tracked to an extent. What is the point in somebody who's fought at the Olympics taking the same route as somebody who's had to graft from nothing, or small hall, or no amateur experience? There's no point. Like Josh Kelly's doing it the right way. Josh Kelly's fighting, he's stepping up all the time.
Joe Joyce
debut 12 rounder against Lewison. Like, these guys have to be taking. They're fighting. If you're fighting that World Boxing Series or whatever it's called, that amateur one with no head guards.
Yeah.
If you're fighting that, it's essentially a pro fight, but just a minute less each round, isn't it? It's the same.
Yeah.
So they already do 5 rounds in those contests. If you've been competing in those, what's the point in you then going back to doing a 4-rounder? It doesn't make any sense.
One of the questions has got J Mac. How good is Buatsi and how far can he go? For 3-0, was he 3-0 or 4-0 now? I think that was his 4th pro. Fourth. Yeah. He's above most light heavies in the country already, isn't he?
Does he beat Jake Ball for you? No.
Now, I would have said no before Jake Ball and Miles Shinkwin, right? But I think I might have been in my head underplaying how good Jake Ball could be, because of a bad knockout he had off McDonald when he fucking nearly flipped out of the ring, and it was naughty. So maybe I haven't given him the credit, because I thought he looked excellent against Shinkwin, and Shinkwin said afterwards, I don't think on my day I could beat him because stylistically he's better than me. Or stylistically he doesn't work against my style or something like that. So maybe stylistically Ball's better than Buatsi, but I think Buatsi's probably got more tools.
I think he's very slick, man. He's nice to watch technically, the way he puts his shots together. Him and Yard could be a monster fight down the line,
mate.
But then you look at them side by side, and Yard looks much bigger.
Well, I wanted to say this later, but I want to see Isaac Chamberlain stand next to Joshua Buatsi. That's what I want to see, because, mate, when you see a Coley and Chamberlain next to each other,
big, man. I think Coley will be a heavyweight eventually, though. He sees his back. He's still got a lot of growing to do as well.
I do, and we'll come on to that. Buatsi, for you, what do you think? Is is he going to be top table? Is he going to be a guy that will, imagine world titles? Because Eddie Hearn afterwards was saying that if he doesn't win world titles, we've all failed. Someone's failed. But after 4 fights, can you say that? I don't know.
I think, again, it's just that when you get to that sort of British title level opposition, you're going to see how good he is. I mean, it's all. I think at the minute, you're going against, no disrespect to like that Jordan Joseph, he's won 6, lost 1 or whatever. That record is more for the benefit of the audience really when they're getting in the ring. Like he's boxing someone who's had 7-1-6. Rather, but the boxing hardcores know that wasn't even going to be a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good point, because the casual element that we touch on a lot. Yeah, you're right. You have to sort of sell to them why this is a step up for Buatsi, I guess. Yeah,
I think when he comes up against someone who, like I say, I think I know that Craig Richards has sparred him a lot, and Craig Richards has really caused him a lot of problems, a lot of problems. I think someone like that who's got that slick, boxing and moving, has got the ability to beat him and like I say, really frustrate him. So I think someone like that would be a nightmare for him. Someone who's going to stand there and have a fight with him, that's Boatsi's game. But someone who's going to box and move is a nightmare for him, I think.
Who's you got Bullioni's the British.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think under English. I can't think of
English. They're fighting for, aren't they? Liam Conroy and Shinkwan.
Shinkwan again. So he could probably take that. Eddie's not a fund fan. He doesn't really tend to go for those Southern area English.
You just don't need to. If you've got a promoter that's that powerful, you don't have to do that. So it'll be interesting to see.
So do we think we'll have some version of an international belt around his waist by the end of the year? No doubt.
Yeah, you would hope so. You want to see him out 4 times this year, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Especially if he's fighting like that.
4 times. Yeah. I think he's. Time will tell. I think get this year out of the way, see how if he continues to impress the way he probably will do. World title, I don't know.
But that's a yard though.
What year? 2020?
I don't know. I'll be 30 then. Fuck that.
Fuck you, bro. I was 32 months ago. Yeah, let's move on to the main event, man. Have you ever been to a boxing event where the main event broke your heart as much as that fight? Because I don't know if I've ever been to a show where the main event let me down as much as last night did.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. Yeah, it was. Before we start talking about it, I don't want people to start saying, people are having a go at Isaac and stand by Isaac and all that stuff. I fucking love Isaac Chamberlain. Spent quite a bit of time with Isaac, interviewed him, spoke to him at numerous events. We've
had him on here.
He's been on here. He's a fucking top guy. So nobody's having a go at Isaac or turning their back on Isaac Chamberlain. We just didn't turn up last night, and I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was the occasion, because he didn't turn up from the first bell. So I don't know whether it was the occasion when he walked out. I don't know if it was just the difference in game plans or Coley. I spoke to Rob Tebbit during the week and we were talking about the difference in the way they were handling themselves throughout the week. So Coley was always cracking jokes, laughing, chilling out, and Isaac was just razor sharp. And I said to Rob seemed to think that was really good for Isaac because he's so focused.
I did.
But what I said...
I'm so biased towards Isaac, man. I was like, yeah, he's so focused.
But I was always the other way around. I always thought, when you're that focused and you're always in this fucking zone where you're like ready to go, it takes up so much mental energy. You sap yourself with so much mental energy. There's an art to getting in the zone at the right time. And it's not just when you're walking out to the ring. I'm sure it can happen a little bit earlier. But if you're like that from a Tuesday, every single day in front of the media and the press and your opponent, it must really drain you. So O'Coley took that coolness into the ring. It was a fucking dreadful fight, man. It was awful.
Horrendous, mate.
I seen Jordan from Portobello PR put, not quite British beef, more like corned beef. It was disappointing, man.
It weren't great. My opinion of it, again, we won't know until Isaac comes out and has a couple of days to stew on it and come up with his reason of what he thinks went wrong. I sat there. I went back and forth. Obviously, I was Team Isaac, and I still will be. But I'd gone back and I said when I was having a beer with the boys before the fight. Rob, Paul, and I said, do you know what? It scares me how big a Coley is beside him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that if it played a part. I think it did, because no matter what a Coley threw, whether it was his lazy jab that, in my opinion, is fucking terrible and that he's working on, or the big overhand right, as soon as he threw it and missed, he pulled his elbow down with his long fucking levers and had him in a headlock. How many headlocks were in that fight? fucking 6,000.
Yeah.
But surely then Chamberlain has to change something.
Yep.
Because you're not going to box on the outside because your reach ain't, you can't match him. The inside, you're getting bullied around, and the strength and the size. I don't know what his original game plan was, and whatever it was, it didn't work. So why didn't we see something different? Why did he not let his hands go when he was starting, when he got in that range? Because
we spoke about plan A and then having plan B and C and D ready. He spoke about having his variation of game plans, but you never really seen a defined game plan throughout the whole fight from him. I thought you tried to get in close, tried to do a bit of work, and that was it. And it just didn't really come off.
What about you, Tyler? When you look at a fight like that, and obviously it had the hype, and we're going to touch on whether it should have been a main event or not. In my opinion, it's irrelevant. But do you think he just didn't turn up, or do you think he's got in there in a style he couldn't handle Okoly's style?
Yeah, I think I really like Isaac. Like, you know, I really rate him as well. But I just think, yeah, like I say, he just didn't turn up last night. Yeah, it just didn't seem to have any real game plan to what he was doing. It was just sort of like, I think Okoly's size was, you know, obviously a massive thing. Like you say, he was throwing shots, leaning on him. I think that was just something that Isaac just couldn't cope with, the size of it. But yeah, I just don't really understand what the game plan was. I mean, obviously, I think, you know, they'd sparred in the past and things like that. So I think that, you know, he must have had a rough idea of, you know, what it's like to have fought him, you know, the size and everything else. So yeah, it's an unusual one. He just didn't seem to, at that level, you got to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and he didn't, you know, he didn't have a plan A in there really.
Yeah.
Agreed. Was the ref as bad as, you know, I was shouting? I've never seen a ref give a point without a warning before.
What is that in a fucking second round as well?
Second round.
Yeah, strange.
You know, first of all, was the first round a knockdown? We just watched it back a minute ago, and kind of looked like he threw something and then leaned in and put all his weight on Isaac, and he fell down. But he didn't complain, Isaac, did he?
No.
Which, you know, first thing you'd imagine you'd do is fucking, ref, have a word, mate, that ain't right, blah blah blah. And he didn't. Whether that's him trying to brush it off as not being important, I don't know. Then you move to the second round where he gets a point for, was it for putting his head down or for holding?
Holding, I think.
Without a warning, just straight out.
You go into the third round, you're 4 points down, man.
I know.
You're 4 points down, you've got 7 rounds to go.
Crazy.
And you're smaller, you're getting physically kind of manhandled a little bit. Not a good start. The ref, fuck that ref, man. That's crazy to give that point without taking anything away. But then it kind of just backs up what everybody thought. If Isaac is relying on fair play, or I think Okoly was always going to get a little bit of an edge because of the AJ boxing thing, or because of the Olympian thing.
Do you think so? Do you think that has any bearing on the referee?
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I do. I think it could do. When have you ever seen that happen before? A point taken off with 0 warning in the second round?
I haven't. And then 4 or 5 warnings before Okoly had one taken in the 9th.
So, did he get one taken?
In the 9th round, I'm sure he did, for pushing his head down. And that's probably the only point one judge gave Isaac. I don't know, man. It still pisses me off now thinking about it, because I expected Isaac to throw his hands when he was inside. That was one of the questions. Why didn't he let his hands go on the inside? I don't know. I can't think of it. There was a moment in the fight where physically, it was early on when Lawrence threw Isaac and he went across the ring, landed on his arse, and I thought that ain't good. Not only is it quite embarrassing to get thrown around like that, it now sets a precedent that you're being bullied around this fight, and the ref weren't giving him no help. Whether it was deserved or not, he wasn't getting anything from the ref, so he needed to step up himself, and unfortunately I don't believe he did.
I think it's a bit like you know, when you get knocked down early on, or cut, or like you say, a point or whatever, you know, you hit your head's down. It's a big thing in your character. What do? Do you come back firing from it, or do you just literally stand there and feel sorry for yourself? And it did look a bit last night like he was feeling sorry for himself in there a little bit, and like I say, Okoly just sort of did what he liked, really.
Which is mad when you think, when in the Wadi Camacho fight, dislocated his shoulder in the third round, refused to be pulled out, popped it back in, and won the fight. Now again, Wadi and Lawrence are completely different fighters, but yeah, you're right. His nuts seemed to go down a little bit, and it was a bit difficult to see at times.
I still don't think Okoly's very good. I don't really rate Okoly that highly. Do you know what would be interesting to see who progresses? I like Big Mikel Lawal
Yep.
That big savage man. I seen him float
Yeah,
about last
Sauerland
night.
boy now, isn't he? Was he there last night?
He was there last night, yeah. I'd like to see him and O'Coley when the time's right, man.
I still want to see Arfan and Nicoli.
They won't fight Arfan. Shout out Arfan Iqbal.
Man like Iqbal. But then it could be the same, whereas Lawrence could just hold him and let... Because he used to be a light heavy. You know what I mean? So, fucking hell. O'Coley's going to be a problem for many people, whether he's technically beautiful or not, which I don't believe he is, but just his sheer size is going to be horrible for people, isn't it, to deal with?
Massive. He is big. Heavyweight in the future?
Yeah, got to be, innit? He's like 6'5".
How old is he?
25?
Yeah, he's like 25, I think.
Yeah.
25, so a couple of years, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Another one of the...
6'5", is he?
Yeah.
He's big, man.
And what's Isaac? 6'2", but it's the frame, innit?
Yeah.
And the...
You can see that Isaac looks so ripped, but he's really narrow.
Yeah,
and O'Coley's just fucking
superhero
killing.
frame. One of the questions: where do they both go from here? I don't know. I missed who that was from.
You better get it. People go fucking.
I know.
Really
Is it
angry
Will
when you miss
Martin? No, that's a different one. Paul Walker? No. Fuck. Don't worry, mate. Someone asked the question. All right. Where do they both go from here? Isaac has to rebuild, and he has to
leave Matchroom.
He has to leave Matchroom. Yeah.
Fuck them. He's been treated like shit. So, and when he's been fed, he's kind of been fed to the dogs a little bit here, innit? When the time's right, it's a big fight. Oh yeah, we'll bring Isaac in now. We'll give him that limelight that he should have been getting when he beat Camacho. Now we can feed him to somebody else that we like.
That
so
we care more about.
We'll just chuck him in now and give him a bit of exposure now. That's the way I look at it. Maybe that's unfair, but I think he should leave Matchroom. I think he should look for another promoter. Whether it's Cyclone, don't have a cruiserweight. They've also had Matty Askin fights on the TV and stuff like that as well. Whether it's maybe Haymaker,
maybe.
But I think he has to leave Matchroom for his own, because if he wasn't in the forefront of their plans at that weight before, he's certainly not now. So I think he has to leave.
Agree or disagree, Tyler?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, everything's going to be on O'Coley now. It's going to be hard to sort of come back from that. I think with another promoter, perhaps rebuilding right, like you say. I think now it's just going to be a matter of feeding him to the dogs a little bit. He's very young. What is he? 23.
Yeah,
23.
He's very, very young, especially at that weight and everything else. So he's got bundles of time
and he's talented. Like, let's not forget, he's a very nice boxer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it was the occasion. That was I've seen that on Twitter floating around a lot, that it shouldn't have been the headline, and maybe that had a bearing on it. Whether that had been a co-main to White Brown, for example, would it have had any bearing, and would it have got as much abuse as it has done? I guess because it was the main event we came out for that fight.
Well, they wouldn't have been paid as much. That's the bottom line. And they wouldn't have been paid as much. It wouldn't have given them as much exposure as they received. So I don't think it makes much of a difference for that. They have to be ready for that at some point. So, and O'Coley dealt with that, no problem. So I don't think
he came into the ring dancing and singing, and
he was loving it, man.
I think he was. One thing you got to say about him, he's ultra confident that he believes in himself. Yeah. So
I think Chamberlain perhaps put a little bit of pressure on himself with everyone will see the sort of the jokes and that he was making with the whole CV thing. And, which was brilliant. It built the fight up and it was funny and everything else. But perhaps he deep down he was piling the pressure on himself to not only win but really look good and perform. So he went in there with a lot of pressure on himself. So perhaps that's a learning curve that actually, when it gets to that level of them big fights again, he's just got to go in there and concentrate on what he's going to do and go from there, really.
Did you notice on telly how badly booed O'Coley got? Because I don't know if that was just because people were pro Isaac because they saw him as the underdog. I don't know, but I was surprised how badly he got booed. I don't know. I thought the telly might have muted it. They might have muted all the mics facing the fans.
He's not a very endearing character, though, is he? He doesn't really do a lot to make you like him. Not that he does a lot wrong.
No, I know what you're saying.
He doesn't do a lot to make himself likeable.
Maybe he's Marmite. Maybe people that like him, they like him a lot, and they'll have his back. I don't know. It was a fairly good atmosphere in there as well for what it was until the middle rounds, and then people got sick of the holding and didn't feel like a boxing match for a long time. It was really, really strange. Really strange, but yeah, hopefully they both come from it. Do we see Okolie fighting any of the other domestic rivals this year? Someone said he wanted, who did he say? Matty Askin?
I'd fancy him and Watkins, that's a good fight.
Watkins.
Him and Luke Watkins for the Commonwealth's a good fight. I think he could win that. But yeah, that's a bit too early. Matty Askin looks quite good. He looks better every fight, so...
Yeah, he's a good fighter, Matty Askins. I rate Matty Askins.
Looked great in his last defence. He's fighting Stephen Simmons as well. February sometime, March maybe.
March, and it's going to be another Haymaker
March
show.
17th.
March 17th, York Court isn't officially confirmed, but they know now, I guess. Yeah, that's a good fight. I think there's some good fights out there for Lawrence, and he's going to be pushed now. Any Matchroom are going to, if they weren't behind him now.
Yeah.
Before that, rather, you imagine that he's going to be everywhere now.
I think Matchroom will be disappointed in the fight because all they spoke about was whoever wins is going to move on. The fans will be loving whoever wins. Nobody really was loving that fight last night, were they?
No.
Nobody was, this is really catching fire, Okolie's the man.
A lot of people were walking out, you know.
Really?
A lot of people where I was sitting were walking out. Yeah, really weird fight. Weird event in many ways because of that and the sort of permutations of people just sort of being confused. And I also found it quite weird because there was a lot of casuals out last night, which you kind of get quite a few at Matchroom, but usually it's when they have one of the bigger fighters, a Joshua or something, and they kind of came out for this. And do you remember me saying to you last night, or were you too pissed? I want to start a new segment, right, on the show, on the podcast, called Casual Corner.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because of some of the comments I hear at boxing are amazing. Like,
You told me a couple last night.
There was mate, it was just brilliant. So there was a guy sitting in front of me who said, can't wait to see that Buatsi. And Buatsi's fighting. But this is during Buatsi's fight. And he's going, I can't wait to this Buatsi guy. And I'm like, mate, it's Buatsi. He's like, oh, is it?
Fuck.
Hilarious. And then one guy coming out said that Okolie beats Joshua in a year or so. I was like, what do you mean his manager, who's the unified champion of the world? Brilliant, mate. So you can't listen. They bring their money to the show, same as everyone else does, but it is hilarious some of the things they come out with. Like that lady on Twitter who tweeted the other day. The Dillian White one. You see this? No. She's got tickets for Joshua Parker, and she's so excited to see Dillian White on the undercard. He replied, "I'm in London the week before, love."
Get him on StubHub though.
Yeah, get him on StubHub. Yeah. Let's move on. Briefly touch a fight that all of us kind of just sort of flicked through the highlights a minute ago, and the knockout Gasayev and Dorticus. You backed Dorticus quite, I wouldn't say vigorously, but you were convinced he would.
Sounds sexually aggressive. I thought Dorticus would win. I thought Dorticus would win, and I was quite confident until it got to the weigh-in, and they were standing side by side, and I seen the size of Gasayev's fucking head. It was like a watermelon, man. It was massive.
It's like Valuev's head on a cruiserweight.
It looked like a fucking orange on a cocktail stick. It was massive, man. But yeah, I thought Dorticus had the skills. I liked him against Kudryashov when he was moving back and forward, slipping shots and throwing big right hands. But Gasayev's good, man. Gasayev's good, and he's got an engine. And it looked like a good fight from what we've seen. And stoppage, for me, the ref's got to stop it before that. That's crazy, man.
I think he was trying to let him see the end of the fight out when he
stops it when he gets punched out the ring.
Yeah, he gave him a fair shake of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you watched a lot of this series, this World Boxing Super Series, Tyler? I know you said to me you don't watch that much boxing, do you?
No, I haven't, to be honest. I was actually quite interested in that Bradis. Who was it? The other guy. You sick. Just because, like, obviously working in the gym and that, and I have a lot of people who, you know, talking about boxing all the time, and
not the fact that you're a professional boxer.
Yeah, no, like just the fact, just the hearsay, sort of like everyone was really excited about that fight, and then I never actually watched it, and then obviously everyone come back in the gym next week and said it was such a good fight and everything else. But yeah, no, I've not watched it. Literally, that's what we just see there was the first I've seen in that World Boxing Series. But yeah, no, obviously I've seen the people who are in it, and they're all top quality fighters. So it's a brilliant series. But yeah, no, I've not actually watched it, to be fair.
It's worked well, hasn't it? We've got confirmed that we're going to be at the Groves Eubank one.
Woo!
Fucking buzzing, mate.
So, where am I going to sleep that night?
I've sorted it. Don't worry.
In a fucking street corner.
Martin and all the boys at a hotel booked, so I just told them we're just gonna have to squeeze in a little bit there. Yeah, I think the concepts work well. I think the scheduling's been amazing. How they've managed to work it that it's boxing every week.
You have to do it though, don't you? Because you look at the Super 6 and that dragged
months
on, man.
Months between fights.
It's good that they have to be strict like that.
And there's a specific date for the final, which is in Saudi Arabia in May.
Fuck boxing in Saudi Arabia.
What?
Can you imagine how fucking hot it'll be?
You don't reckon they'll have like an air-conned arena?
Nah, I reckon it'll be in the desert. I reckon they'll stage it in the desert. Only one survives. Yeah, I think the production, we say it every fucking time, the production is the best production I've seen in boxing. It's so good. The ring of lights that go up to the fucking ceiling and
the podiums.
Ah, it's so good, man. It's so good. And like Tyler said as well, it's just quality operators. That cruiserweight one is just brilliant, isn't it? So good. Usyk to fight Gassiev in the final.
For all 4 belts as well.
That's a hell of a fight, man.
Yeah, no, it's done well. I think when they announced it, there was a little bit of I don't know about skepticism, but no one knew how it was going to work. And the only last big tournament we had was the Super 6, whereas you'd have 4 months between a fight, and then he'd get injured, so then there'd be another 3 months, and it just fucking
went on for about 3 years.
It was dreadful. For how many fights in total? 8 or something.
Crazy.
This one's done 14 fights or something, and we're on schedule. It's done well. So yeah, they've done a really good new concept. I like it a lot. And Callum Smith next week. I don't give a fuck about Callum Smith. I can't stand him or Joe Gallagher. So
wow, strong.
I couldn't care less.
Strong feelings there.
Yeah. Just couldn't care less, to be honest with you. I think he's a melt.
Who do you think wins between Groves and Eubank, Tyler?
I think that Eubank's going to outlast him.
Kind of him say that.
It's
like he doesn't know I'm a West Londoner. Say, you're not allowed to say that.
I just think like his work rate is phenomenal. It is literally phenomenal. The punches he throws and that. I think it's going to be close for about 6-7 rounds, but I think that Eubank's just going to outlast him.
You know, his work rate is tremendous, and his hand speed. I think when he's up there with the quickest in the super middleweight division. But has he had anyone who's been able to push him? Like even when he fought Arthur Abraham, who's been around for a million years, he's a stand in front of you fighter. So Eubank could look flashy and he could do what the fuck he wanted.
The only one he's fought, he lost to
Billy Joe.
So
but he's improved a hell of a lot as well, I think. But I just think Groves' jab is going to cause him problems for the first half of the fight. That's how I see it going. Him jab, you'll have the hand speed and Eubank's good foot movement trying to come around the outside of him and pepper him. But I just think Groves' class, and he's been in there with such better caliber of fighter. Obviously Froch twice, which he lost, and Badu Jack, which he lost. But in my opinion, and maybe slightly biased, George Groves, I think he's just going to be able to just box him and not let Eubank look flashy and do what the fuck he wants and dance around. And I think Eubank's going to know what it's going to be like to be in a real world title fight, because this is his first. You know, let's take the IBO out of it. I know, you're mates. He's mates with the president of the IBO. He actually is. But take that out of it. This is his first proper world title fight, and it's against George Groves, who's been around for a long time, and he's going to find it. And if he wins, fuck me, he's going to win the whole tournament, and he deserves every praise that comes his way. But this is a real career-defining fight for George Groves, in my opinion.
I'd be really interested to see if this is where Father Time catches up with George Groves.
He ain't that old.
Nah, I don't mean like.
You mean miles on the clock?
Yeah, I mean like all the wars he's had, man. It'll be really interesting to see. But I think it's going to be a good fight. So people are starting to talk about like, I think Eubank will pull out the fight.
Yeah, a couple of people have said that, haven't they?
Because he sent an email out confirming the reserve, that Zach Parker's the reserve for the fight. It's weird to send an email out confirming a reserve in it. It's weird.
I think they keep that quiet.
Yeah, but hopefully it happens. We'll be there. If anybody's there,
buy us a beer.
Don't buy me any beers, man. Fucking hell. You know what happens. Don't put me in a box. I'll never come back out again. But hell of a fight, and hell of a fucking undercard as well.
Yeah, Arfanic Bow, Simon Vallely for the English.
Tough fight.
Jack Armfield, Tommy Langford for the British, and Isaac Lowe against
Ryan Walsh
for the British. It's a fucking good undercard, isn't it?
Really good undercard.
And you think that they don't even like you don't. How many times do you see that on a big promoter based in Britain? You don't really see 2 British titles, a world title, and an English. And we got this from a guy who's essentially, I know the Sauerlands are from England, but they do most of their work abroad. So Mate, I think it's a good fucking card.
It's only one of the. It's a weird misconception. It's only one of the Sutherlands, Richard Schaefer, and some mad management group that run it.
Yeah.
This was Contessa or something like that. But,
So Nissa's not involved?
Nissa's not involved at all.
That's harsh on his brother, isn't it?
Well, he's
Khaled
still,
just mocked up.
Nah, he's still doing all the Sutherland stuff, so they try and keep it separate to avoid any conflict, is what I've heard.
Makes sense. Yeah, let's move on to all the questions.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
Adam, just we're recording now. We just recorded Tyler's answer. Do you just want to recap what your question was, mate?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Tyler what his thoughts were on the boxing media and how important the smaller channel publications were.
And just to recap his answer, I think we cut off the start. He said that he liked the new boxing media, but that you were shit. He didn't like
that. Is exactly what he said. Those were his words. Now fuck off while we do a podcast, we are.
Bye, Adam.
Especially, you know, sort of like the small hall sort of fighters. You know, obviously all selling the tickets and everything else. Fighters need exposure, and I think the more exposure, the better in the game. You know, I think, like I say, you know, you get these big fighters who are on TV who are literally, you know, they're getting interviews and everything, not every day of the week. The smaller hall fighters, that they need the exposure. So I think the more people doing it, the better. You know, gets boxing out of there to more than just the boxing hardcore. So I think that's.
I'm not going to say back to normality with Adam Noble 4C after. I'm not going to fucking repeat the joke, but the prick phoned in just so he could speak to Tyler and get his question answered. So it's a bit back to front, but whatever. It done the job. Loads of questions to go through. This is a good question for you, actually. You answered it, so you gave it away, but we're going to get you to go into a bit more detail. Do you know what I mean? Tyler, why did you decide to step away at a time domestically it was booming? Fights with you, Ricky Boylan, Tommy Martin, John Wayne Hibbert, Danny Connor, Tyron Nurse, all being shown on mainstream TV. Seems like it was a real hot time in boxing. Thank you. That was from our mate, UK Boxing Fan 6.
Yeah, it was just... it was a time in my career that like I said, it was absolutely booming, but I was really struggling to make 10 stone. It started really about a year before I boxed Danny Connor for Eliminator for the English, and it was starting to become a struggle. I had like top nutritionists as well on my team and that, and it was really becoming a struggle. And then I had the Nurse fight, and then the Boylan fight. Actually had to lose half a stone on the morning of the weigh-in, and then it got to the Hibbert fight, and it was I had to lose £10 the night before the Hibbert fight.
Talk us through that if you could. So how the fuck did you do that? What was the thought process?
Actually, it was horrific that week because it was the WBC. The WBC can throw in like check weigh-ins. So it was fight week, and I was 10-12 at the start of the week, and WBC rang up and said that it had to be a check weigh-in on the Wednesday. So Tuesday night I was 10-12, and I had to be 10-4 at the check weigh-in. So I had to lose £8 by the check weigh-in on the Wednesday. So I lost £8. That made the check weigh-in.
So did you basically make a cut for that? So to lose that £8.
So I basically just for that I just went bike running with a sweatsuit, just didn't eat, drink.
You essentially did 2 weigh-ins in a week.
Yeah.
When we know what one weigh-in does to people, I mean that's fucking insane.
So so I lost the £8 by the Wednesday, and then I'd had obviously had a drink and just sort of something to eat afterwards. Went back up to 10-10, and then the next day, the Thursday, was the day before the proper weigh-in. So I had to lose another £10, so I lost about £18 that week.
Jesus Christ,
that's mental. I mean, you know, you look at sometimes, well, not sometimes. It's been a bit more spoken about lately that guys and girls what they're putting themselves through to make weight. Was there ever a case for you? Obviously, you box at a division that you can make, but why do that to yourself? Why not say, I've got to be smarter here and I've got to stay a weight above and not do this to myself?
I think you just like I say, we touched on it earlier, you know, when you get that opportunity to fight on TV, fight on the big shows, fight for titles, it was sort of like I could have moved up a weight and gone back to 6 rounders on the small hall
But like
shows.
domestically, the weight you needed to be for the fights.
Or stay at 10 stone and be fighting for these WBCs, the English and all that. So I can remember the thought process going into it, into that Hibbert fight after the Boylan one. I sort of said to myself I was going to move up. I was going to vacate the English and move up to welterweight, and then I walked in a Matchroom, got offered the Hibbert fight. It was the biggest payday I had, and I remember Eddie Hearn saying, look, exactly what I just said, you could move up in weight, do the 6 rounders.
So for him to say that when you've got to put himself what you've done to your body, innit?
But I just thought to myself, do you know what, I can do it one more time, and then I'll move up after that. And it was just a stretch too far that time. Obviously, it's, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I can say now I shouldn't have done it, but I think if I had the opportunity again, I'd probably have tried to do it again. So
what is that like? So you're trying to cut £10, you've cut 3 or 4 or whatever. For people who don't know what that's like, me, because I don't even know how to fucking diet, to be honest, mate. What's that like physically? Like, is it painful for you physically? Is it hard mentally going through that cut on the day or the morning of?
Mentally, it's just so draining. Like my missus, she'll tell you exactly what it's like. I used to lie to her about my weight. I remember for the Hibbert fight, I had my best mate with me, and I come back and I weighed myself, and I said to him, mate, you're going to have to come with me at the gym, we're going to have to go get in the sauna, I've got a £10 to shift. And I remember saying to my missus, she said, oh, what's your weight like? I said, oh no, I'm only 2 or £3 over, I'm fine, I'm just going to go have a little skip out, I'll be fine. I went down there, and I must have been in the sauna for about half an hour, I had a sweatsuit, woolly hat on, and I managed to lose about £5-6, and then I come back to the house, and obviously I still had like £4 or £5 to shift, so that's when I had to be honest with her, and I just said, look, it's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem here. So got a red hot bath, salt water, Epsom salts and that. Jumped in there for half an hour. Jumped out, put my sweatsuit back on, put a duvet around me, sat in front of the heater for half an hour. I managed to lose another £4. And then my mate basically took me to the weigh-in and dropped me on the scales, and bang, 10 stone.
Wow. And physically for you, is that, do you get like stomach cramps, or what? Your muscles feel fatigued, or because you must literally be barely able to move?
The worst thing with the Boylan fight, it was, although I lost £7 in the morning of that one, and I somehow managed to recover in time for the fight. But with the Hibbert one, it was funny because the week or so before, I'd literally been on such pretty much nothing. I was eating nothing, drinking absolutely zero. Do you know what I mean? So when I was for that fight, as soon as I weighed in, you obviously have that 24 hours to then rehydrate. As soon as I had a sip of water or like a carb bar or something, I felt sick. I felt so full up and sick. So I just couldn't rehydrate for that fight.
So your body had enough of it.
I remember the Boylan fight. This was I was 10 stone when I weighed in, and I weighed myself the next day, lunchtime the next day in the hotel when I was 11.4. So I put £17 on overnight. But the Hibbert fight, I just couldn't eat or drink anything, so I didn't manage to put any weight on, or just to recover. So I was well for the fight. It was, and then another story afterwards when the WBC, you have a like a drug testing where you have to piss in like a little pot, and literally we were in there. I was with my missus, and Hibbert was in there as well, funny enough, and you can't eat or drink anything because it might be contaminated. So you can't leave this room until you fill this cup up, and I was in there for about an hour and a half because I was so dehydrated.
There's nothing in you.
And then by the time I actually had a piss, and I just pissed pure blood, I was just so dehydrated.
Fuck.
So and then 2 days later,
Here you go. You happy now? You can't say you got your fucking. You got your little pot.
2 days later, I was still pissing blood, so I had to go to Harlow Hospital, and I was chronically dehydrated. Wow. And that was 2 days later, and I've been eating and drinking loads.
That's insane.
Like that. So my mum and dad and that just said, look, do you know what? If you're boxing, we're never going to come watch you again if you fight at that weight.
Yeah.
And my missus just said, I'm never going to watch you again if you fight at that weight. So that was it for me. That was
It's mental. One of the questions we actually only got it in just before we started. Martin from New Age Boxing. A story about you and outside the O2 in a cab, or
that was the Tyrone Nurse fight. So yeah, like I obviously fought Tyrone Nurse at the MEN, and I busted my ribs and I fractured my nose, and both my eyes were swollen over. I couldn't even see out of my eyes, and the doctor obviously comes and checks you over after the fight. So he come in, checked me over, said, look, you've got to go to hospital, you fractured your nose, your eyes, everything else. So rather than someone paying for me, I've just been in a massive fight in front of 10,000 people on TV. Rather than someone offering to take me to the hospital, I had to go outside and flag my own taxi down to take me to the hospital. I couldn't even see. I remember I had to. Both my mum and dad had to carry me out of the venue because obviously I couldn't see because both my eyes were swollen over, and then flag my own taxi down to take me to the hospital. So
that's a weird one though, isn't it? Because people talk about Matchroom or
it was a Matchroom show.
Matchroom show,
yeah, Matchroom or Eddie looking after fighters, putting them in great hotels, making sure they're all paid on time, and then you get something like that, which seems to be a small thing that you could just fix
Get
easily.
the man to the fucking hospital. He just
50
fought on
quid
your
or whatever.
show.
There you go. Sort that out. It seems very. Was there a reason for that? Was nobody about that could get it ordered, or there was never an offer?
Everyone was about. It's just like I know now that I lost that fight. No, nobody cares about you when you've gone in there and you've boxed. I've lost that fight. Nobody cares, and that's the reality of it. At the end of the day, there's people think that boxing's glamorous. It's not. It's not glamorous at all. It's like I say, like that. I literally walked out as people were coming in. So like the turnstile bits and giving them tickets in to come in. So I had my mum and dad, and I had to walk out, both my eyes closed over, walking past other fans, and I'd literally just boxed in front of 10,000 people. It's just, but that's just the way it is, and I know that now. But I was only 22 at the time. I was a young kid, and it hurt me at the time because you think all these promoters and everything else are your mates, and things like that. But they're not. You're just a pound sign to them.
Yeah,
and that is just the way it is. But I know that now. So
was there a time you remember? Because people get into the game and they have these ambitions and they have this. Boxing's great, it's really glamorous, like you said yourself. Was there a time that you remember, that might have been it, the time with the two big eyes hobbling out the arena, a time where you switched your way of thinking and went, oh fuck, this is quite dirty, this game actually?
It just sort of, I think, when I sit back and think of it now, I think I'm just so, it used to upset me a lot, I think, because it was a sport that I love, and obviously you put so much time into it, money, everything into it, but now nothing surprises me anymore. I've been in the game and I've been around it so much that actually it just, I'm immune to all that now. Getting upset about it. I think you have to take the emotions out of it if you want to be successful in boxing. I think like I say, you sort of think, like the promoters come in and come to the gym from time to time, see you train and everything else, and you think you strike up that relationship with them as a friend and everything else, but actually it's not like that at all, and it's not, because it's just like a conveyor belt of fighters earning money, isn't it? It's not. So you have to try and take the emotion out of it if you want to be successful in boxing.
It's crazy because when I see on your Facebook there's two people that are probably the most outspoken about the ins and outs of boxing, and you're one of them, and Danny Connor's the other.
Yeah.
Someone you've shared the ring with on plenty of occasions.
Yeah.
And I guess you're very similar career-wise. You know what I mean? Like you've had these fights where you've been the guy who's not necessarily expected to win, and you've done it the hard way. Would you give this advice to younger fighters? What's your main bit of advice you'd give to up and coming guys that they may be just starting out and they're getting the opportunities on big shows and stuff? They need some advice from you. What would it be?
I think the biggest thing in it, and it probably sounds a bit patronising, but you've just got to go into professional boxing with your eyes wide open, because you will be used. if you're not if you're not careful. I think, like I say, when I turned pro when I was like 18, 19, and it was it was the proudest moment of my life. Turned professional, it was great. But I think, like, in all honesty, now, if I could have stayed amateur, I probably would have stayed amateur. Like, it's just.
There's that new rule now, isn't there? But I think it's only 6 fights.
Yeah, six fights.
Fights.
It's amateur boxing is a sport. Professional boxing is a business. And it really is. It's a business, and I think with boxing, most fighters come from working class sort of backgrounds and things like that. And like, I know myself, I'm not business minded at all. And the trouble with boxing is you get a lot of people who come into boxing from backgrounds very academic, and they expose fighters. I think who don't really know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, like when I think back to some of the big fights I had and some of the money I earned, I think, why didn't I hold out for more money? Why didn't I ask for more money? It's dreadful, but at the time, I just wanted to fight. I wanted to take the opportunity, and I just bit the hand off at the opportunity. I should have held out for more money and stuff like that. But it's like I say, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
What boxing is, we've only been doing it a couple of, not even 2 years fully, and you hear stories and things like that. And there was a big case at back end of last year that is a guy who's friends with all the fighters. Everyone thinks that, and it turns out he's a fucking wrong 'un. He's been robbing boys left, right, and centre, and he's arranging. He's got sponsorship on their back and taking the money. And he ended up, was it 100 grand he took off boys?
Yeah.
And he's still on the run or whatever. I don't know the situation, but it just goes to show that as boxers, you guys can be possibly naive without being insulting. It's naive to accept. But then why would you not think that people want to help you? You know what I mean? If you're a good person yourself and you're looking for opportunities and you're grafting your fucking bollocks off in the gym, and boy, you know what, mate? I'll get you sponsorship. I've got you 400 quid a month. Turns out it was 1,500 a month, and this geezer's taking a bag a month off you because he wants. Do you know what I mean? And as it being an accessible sport, it's a great thing, but it also leaves the door open for fucking leeches that want to earn out of boys, and that's what I mean. That's the problem.
It's definitely you get a lot of people who just come into this game to expose fight, just to try and make money from them. There's so many leeches. I mean, even like you get to the top end world level and that, you hear like even Mike Tyson, when I read his book and stuff like that about Don King, he was taking like $1,000 off him for towels or something stupid, and like
he didn't even think
a grand a week for towels, and he didn't know about that for ages.
Can I ask? And you don't need to answer me because it's a personal question. You've described the nurse fight and the eyes and the ribs and the nose and the pain and everything else, and then you spoke about biting off people's hands when they offer you money. You don't have to answer me because it's a money question. How much did you get paid for that fight?
For the nurse fight?
Yeah. Just so to give context of what you went through.
It was about 4.5 grand. I remember, obviously every year I have an accountant, and the nurse, Boylan, and the Hibbert fight. With all my training expenses and everything else, I walked away that year with about £500 profit.
I mean, it's beggars belief, isn't it?
Hell,
like there's this common misconception that boxers, they're on telly, they're so well paid. Lerone Richards is a friend of mine. He's won the WBO European. He works in Tesco's. Because he can't afford to stop. And I don't know how many times I've said this, but it just getting your head around it is difficult, because what you went through that night, and that fight, and not even just the night, obviously the camp you put yourself through, and
those weight cuts as well that you've touched on.
I can understand why someone like you, whether you are or not, I don't know, but whether you'd be bitter towards this fucking business.
I am. Like I say, I used to watch boxing all the time. There never used to be a boxing show or an event that I missed. But now I'm literally like very, very rarely watch boxing anymore. I'm just not. It's just it's sort of just gone from me a little bit. I think just being in the circles I have for the last sort of 6-7 years. It's just it's definitely made me bitter. I try my best not to be bitter, but
it's hard not to be.
But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's tough.
Does it make it hard to get motivated though? Because you still fight, right? So that
Yeah, why fight again? You obviously, I was at your. Were you there? No, I think
I missed
Kevin was
that,
with me.
no, I missed
MTK, and you took another fucking fight with a prospect, Barker, who, you know, you're a guy, you don't want these easy fights in a way.
No.
And when I heard you were coming back, I thought maybe a tick over fight, but you don't do that. You go straight into these tough fights. Like, you have this mentality that's different from so many other fighters, I guess. I mean, first of all, why come back, and then why did you want to be in against a guy like Barker, who's a tough fight?
For me, like I think I talk for all fighters when I say this. It's just something that will never leave you. Do you know what I mean? You're always a fighter. You know, once a fighter, always a fighter. And it's just something that will never leave you. Don't matter how old I get, I'll always want to do it. Like right this minute, like I would, you know, if someone said, you know,
I've got pads in there.
box next week, I'd do it. It's one of them things. It's just in you to do it. You know, now I've gone back home. I've started my own gym up, and I'm earning a wage out of that. So now when I come back to boxing, it's not for money.
it's not
all.
everything.
But it's not money at all anymore. It's just I'm purely there because I want to be there. And then if I don't want to be there, I won't fight. You know, it's just purely because I want to do it now. So I'm just there for the sport. Whereas before, you know, I used to live in away from home in Essex to be able to train. So I had to fight to pay my rent, to pay my training expenses. So literally that's why I took the big fights, because I had to take them to live. So whereas now I don't need that anymore. So yeah, I'm literally back because I just want to fight, and that's it.
Let's move on to a few more questions we've had sent in. James Lupton, who obviously works for our website. Why do certain standout amateurs flop at top level in the pros, i.e. Audley, Stalker, Gavin and Price? Is it down to mindset, style or loss of ability? And he's put flop in sort of inverted commas, where what's everyone's definition of flop. David Price, if you gave him that career, you know, I mean, sorry, Audley Harrison I'm talking about, was he British, Commonwealth, European? It ain't a bad career, is it?
Nah.
But I guess the hopes he had, and he had the BBC One deal and stuff, essentially he didn't achieve what people thought he would, so you could call him a flop. I think it's difficult. I think every fighter, whether you're a small hall or you make your debut on a Matchroom show, everyone has different ceilings of what should be expected. Now, who is it that is the person doing the expecting? Do you know what I mean? Is it the trainer and manager, or is it the perceived ability from us guys as fans? I don't know how you sum that up, because Stalker is probably the standout for me. He was England captain, Britain captain, and as a pro, he's just not done a lot, and he hasn't been great. And
I think Frankie Gavin's a standout for me. The standout example, England's only world amateur champion. And by the way, if you're listening, Frankie, fuck you for ignoring my text. But
Frankie Gavin,
fuck him. Don't tick me, you prick.
Frankie Gavin is not coming on the podcast next. Then
so he was set to achieve all these crazy things. When you look at the Olympics, you always send a team to the Olympics, don't you? You always send 10 bodies, whatever it is, to the Olympics. Some do well, some don't do well. Look at Josh Kelly. Got by the first round and got put out in the second round of the Olympics. When he turned over and he was making his debut, I think I might have said, I don't really care about this guy. And then you watch him and you see his progression and you go, fuck, he's actually really good. Frankie Gavin's the only person from England to win the World Amateur Championships, and he's done nothing.
Frankie Gavin I have a different opinion on, because of a lot of his problems were self-inflicted, as in he couldn't make weight a lot of time. You just spoke on what you went through to make weight. Do you know what I mean? And for the purses and stuff. Now Frankie Gavin has not only missed weight on a number of occasions, he's just not dedicated to it, which is bizarre when you consider what he achieved as an amateur. What do you think? How do you sum up what is a success and why you'd flop after being considered one of the top amateurs?
Professional boxing and amateur boxing, they're two different sports, I think. Do you know what I mean? You know, obviously it's boxing, but they're two totally different games. I think you can be a standout amateur, but over 3 rounds, you know, you can be that boxing move on your toes, on your feet, hard to hit, and be an exceptional mover boxer like that. But you can't do that for 12 rounds, 10, 12 rounds. They're two totally different games, and until you sort of like, I remember like I'll be in the gym. I used to absolutely love it when top amateurs used to come in at the spar. I used to love it because the game plan every time would be let them come and have a go for 2 rounds and then just step on them for the next 2, 3. Like if we were doing 6 rounds, half of them probably couldn't even do the 6 rounds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were top amateurs. These guys, they'd come in and they'd be absolutely buzzing, brilliant for like 1, 2, maybe 3 rounds, 4, 5, 6. They'd absolutely run out of steam, and you just sat on their chest and you could just smash away. But that, and that's just the way it is because they're not used to being, look at like perfect example. You look at people like that, Orlando Salido, people like that. Like, would they be Olympic champions as an amateur?
Yeah.
No, but they're world champions as a boxer because they're tough. They're like granite. They just come forward, plod forward. They're so tough, work rate, everything else. You get a lot of top pros, world champions who, if they went back to amateur days, they wouldn't be anything as an amateur, but as a pro, they suit the style that they need to be. So, yes,
they're just too different.
I think they're totally different. Like I say, I found out myself when I went and sparred down at Tony and Pete's gym in Essex when I was like 17, 18. I got absolutely smashed.
Who was in there them times? Barker would have been.
Darren Barker. Darren Barker sat me on my ass in Tenerife. Lee Purdy, Daniel Cadman.
Was Purdy a world champion briefly?
No, didn't he fight for a world?
He fought Devin Alexander.
Yeah.
Beating the 5th or something, wasn't he?
No, it was a brilliant gym down there. Dave Stewart. He fought for the British title. Some real.
So you go in there as an amateur, you're keen.
Yeah, real keen. I remember, like I say, we were training out in Tenerife. I got invited out for Darren Barker's training camp for the European title, and I went and trained out there, and I sparred him, and I literally thought, do you know what, I'm going to go, I'm going to steamroll him, I'm going to really try and stick it on him, and I went bowling out, throwing big shots. He literally stepped back, bang, 1, 2, sat me straight up. Didn't even know what had hit me. So
Plan B.
So
cover up and fucking take your licks. I guess it's true. They're just so different. I mean,
a lot of people get lost in the transition, don't they? So some people can shine, and then when you change that style, like Taylor said,
maybe we should stop being so expectant on high level amateurs to do well in the pro game. Then that's the only big. But it's used as a selling point as well, isn't it? Like Lawrence Okoli. Would we have cared so much about him? I say we. I mean the boxing. The casuals, everyone who buys tickets. If he wasn't an Olympian, and then he would. I don't know.
You can compare Lawrence Okoli to a lot of big guys that fight on small hall shows in terms of his technical ability.
Okoli, to be fair, is like you'd actually say he's more suited to the program than he is the amateurs, really. So he's excelled as an amateur boxing in the Olympics and everything else. But it's a massive selling point because obviously being in the Olympics, everyone knows him. In the public, not just being a boxing fan. Look at Joshua. Like everyone knew him when he then turned over, and absolutely everyone loves it. Even if you don't like boxing, you know who Andy Joshua is and everything else. So it's
it's strange. Like there's tournaments in amateurs. Like I always know when someone says they won the Haringey Box Cup. I don't know why, and maybe it's just because of what I've been sort of led to believe since I've been watching boxing. But if you're a Haringey Box Cup winner, you're good. Yeah. But then it's true. How many of them do go on Sky and go? They don't go, this guy was a Haringey Box Cup winner as an amateur. It's not even thought of. So
I think even obviously winning the Olympics is a massive achievement. But like you think about winning the World Amateur Games is probably harder than winning the Olympics. But if you turn around and go, well, he won the World Amateur Games, like I say, the average Joe out in the street ain't going to know that he's World Amateur Champion. Like I think Frankie Gavin was the only Englishman who's ever done it. And then you think how difficult it is to win that. But like I say, the average Joe in the street doesn't know that he's a world amateur champion.
I think it's natural. You see, we shouldn't be so expectant of
Olympians.
Maybe
but
we should, maybe we shouldn't, but we have a tendency to always consider that fact. Oh, they were a great amateur. They're going to be good pro.
What I'm saying is, you do that in every sport, don't you? So American football, they have college football. The guys who are amazing in college football are expected to be amazing in the NFL. Football, guys that play for youth teams and light up youth teams, you see clips of them all the time. They're expected to go on and do stuff for the bigger team. So I think it's natural. It's almost like a feeder situation, isn't it, where you're feeding the pro games with some good talent. But it's definitely a totally different skill set. It's interesting though.
Yeah.
Fuck Frankie Gary.
Fuck's sake. What else have we got? Another question. Oh, I love this question. Rob Cass. I was with him last night. You was with him as well. Can you remember seeing him?
He's got a bit of blonde in his hair now, didn't he, Rob? Does he put a bit of blonde in his hair?
No, he's getting old. He's covering the grey, bless him.
Yeah, I see that. I remember we walked out the venue together.
Yeah.
Don't remember what we were talking about, but
just you being a pisshead as usual, mate. Good question. I like this one. At any level, which boxer's ring walk song gives you goosebumps when they do come out, and what ring walk would you have as yours? So I get buzzing when an entrance song comes on. Like when Ain't No Stopping Us Now comes on, I'm on my chair,
banger.
I'm swinging my top round with David Haye, mate. I'm all over it. Like that gives me goosebumps. George Groves, when that fucking mental, and you know he does like the drums and that.
That Prodigy, isn't it?
Prodigy, yeah. It's like it's not Firestar. It's the other one. It's like Fire Spitfire.
Yeah,
mate,
brilliant song.
Quality. So I love having a fighter who's synonymous with one song.
I think
do you know what I mean?
All of the lights.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Because the crowd get very really into it, don't they?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I like
go on.
Fucking when AJ did Stormzy.
Yeah, do you know what? I dislike AJ because he tries quite hard to be cool and it ends up going over everyone's head. And it's just a beat playing then, and it's this sort of...
Oh, that Louis, the last one was shit when the music broke down.
Yeah, it's horrific, mate. So I like it when one fighter, all of the lights, Kell Brook.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you do? Did you have a specific song? Or what?
I think the best one that I come out to was at the XL when I come out to I've Got a Brand New Combine Harvester. And when I fought Danny Connor the third time, and I wore a straw hat.
Was you chewing a bit of hay or something?
I just literally, so for like about 3 months before that fight, obviously we'd already fought twice. And the amount of shit he gave me about coming from a farming background, I had to do it, and it was so funny because so as we were walking down to make our entrance into the ring, you obviously both see each other, and I had the massive straw hat on, and I remember looking at each other like that, and you're trying your best, to look hard and obviously give each other the evil looks and that, and I remember afterwards he said to me, he goes, I was trying my best not to fucking burst out laughing. It was so funny. But no, that was brilliant. That was
good. What about you, Craig? What would you do with I don't know if you have entrances in judo, do you? He's a black belt in judo, so he goes to a few tournaments. But
no entrances.
You don't have entrance songs?
No.
That's shit, innit? I only had fucking a couple of white collar fights so that I could come out to a song.
What'd you do?
I did Jungle by Professor Green and Maverick Sabre. Banger, mate. Same tune. I used to listen to it on the way to the gym every day for a year. It was... Yeah, banger. But,
I don't know what I'd do.
I think you got to have one song, man. I think it's good to have one song.
Do you know who's his fucking quality? Conor. I know it's not boxing, but Conor McGregor's walkout is fucking banging, man. That old Irish war song.
Yeah.
Then it just transitions into a bit
Foggy Jew,
innit? Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I love him in MMA. Obviously, I'm an MMA fan as well. Anderson Silva came out to All the Time as Ain't No Sunshine, but DMX's version when that shit popped off, mate. Yeah, for me, it's all about the atmosphere. When you're there as a fan, you want the atmosphere and you want the goosebump moment.
But I would also say it's good to see something that fits with somebody's character. So
Tyler Goodjohn.
I'll use an example. Little Ramez Mahmood, man, what a fucking legend. If Ramez Mahmood comes out to some fucking horrorcore rap, I'm gonna go, oh, it's not really you, Ramez.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's for atmosphere, but I like to have it where I can see someone listening to that in their own time. Yeah. And I can 100% see Tyler blasting Combine Harvester. So yeah, I'm alright with that
one. Sam Cox, you were with Sam Cox last night, weren't you?
He's a good boy.
Sam Cox, who was our last guest on the pod, he wanted to know top Goodwin prospects, I think he said. Let's have a double check.
Is he asked a question just so we can say him?
Yeah, I'm not saying him. I'm definitely not going to say him because it's too predictable, isn't it? So
do you know Sam, Tyler?
No, I don't think so, no.
Yeah, he's 1-0. He got dropped in the first round of his debut.
Oh, really?
In a 4-rounder. Okay. Good lad. He fights out of West Ham.
Yeah.
So his question: top 5 prospects coming through It's coming through Goodwin, under 5 or 10 fights, say. So we talk about him all the time. Linus Shadofia, middleweight. I think he's quality.
Yep.
Yeah, good for
And
him.
his gym mate Brad Pauls, who's fighting Diego
he's good.
Burton.
Yeah, strong.
Top lads. Dino Richardson,
Yeah.
super welter,
100%.
top fighter. And then
How many we got? 3? Did we name 3?
he just 5 prospects.
Who else we got?
Who else is good on those shows?
I really like Bobby Woods' debut,
Yep.
but he's injured now and he has to go for surgery, which is annoying after one fight.
Yeah, that ain't nice.
I really liked his debut. I thought it looked promising, and try to think who else.
I mean, we got a lot of time for Nessie Tuala. We saw his debut.
Yeah. Shout out to Wala.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good prospects and there's a lot of shit as well.
There's a lot of guys that can turn over because they can sell tickets.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Yeah.
you know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. There's guys that, if you're going by standards and levels of what you'd expect from a pro boxer, maybe shouldn't be pro boxers. But who the fuck am I to tell them they can't be a pro boxer if they can sell 200 tickets? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really, it can't be many games where if you can sell a ticket, you can be. You know what I mean?
It's mad really when you think about it. Like I say, I don't think professional boxing has the you know, like I say, when I was like 18, 19, to turn around and say, right, I'm turning professional was a massively proud moment in my life. I don't think it has that anymore. You know what I mean? To say you're a professional boxer, I don't, because you know, every man and their dog are doing it now. So yeah, I don't think it has that, you know, that aura about it anymore. To be honest.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Like I say, you see some guys where they look about 17 years old, 16 years old, and they just turned over because they can sell a few tickets. So
It's trendy now, isn't it, to be a boxer? It's not.
with all this world of social media,
Yeah, it's
Everyone
almost
can have it in their
fashionable.
bio.
It is
can't
trendy, yeah, 100%. I think, you know, you sort of see, you know, even the white collar guys and stuff like that now are putting posts up like they're in training camps
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and you're a bit like,
Hashtag all the belts.
yeah.
Shut
Fucking
up.
chill
No
out,
white
mate.
collar fighters ever said hashtag all
Chill
the belts.
out, man. Talking of trendy.
KSI, mate. KSI's
Did
won
he
all the
fight?
belts. Did you see this last
No,
night? So
I
this is a
didn't watch
YouTube event, right? Let's get this right. This is last night.
Was it pay-per-view?
I don't think so, but it did. It sold out the copper box, which Frank Warren can't do. Right? It did 1.5 million views so far in the first 12, 14 hours since it's been up,
Wow.
and it was white collar YouTube.
They should have charged £2 for that,
Why?
because it would have made $2.5 million.
Mate,
That's why.
I think he made enough. I mean, he probably paid for the production himself. But you know what I found was crazy? The fight finished at 7 PM, right?
Yeah.
Derek Chisora put the belt around the YouTuber's waist.
Oh my god.
No, this is a true story. I'm not even shitting you. And you know what was in the middle of the ring? JD logo. JD somehow got behind this on the same night as they're fucking
Yeah.
sponsoring a Colin. Mental, mate. But yeah, KSI. If I'm Frank Warren, I'm saying, can you do me a favour? Will you sign for me and come and sell some tickets, mate?
Heat up the undercard.
Yeah.
Speaking of boxing being trendy, I just want to comment for everybody who can't see this. Tyler Goodjohn is the best dressed man we've had on the podcast. He's wearing 2
boots are
items of
serious.
Vivienne Westwood. He's got Gucci on. He's covered in cool tattoos. I'm sitting here with a head like a fucking mushroom, a big red face, and a pair of shite jeans that have got kebab all over them. So, yeah, top quality fashion there.
Our final question is from Will. You didn't get to meet him last night,
I've met him before.
have you?
Yeah, I met him at Groves Cox.
I was at Groves Cox.
He was with Dan Frost.
I was with Dan Frost again last night.
Yeah.
Top boys. He sent a question through for you and me.
Oh, by the way, shout out to him. He's expecting a kid. Him and his missus, I've seen that. So congratulations.
Congratulations. Not him. Yeah, his missus is.
Well, she's going to do the graft.
Yeah.
But he'll probably take the praise.
He'll be at the boxing with us and then sort of
Yeah.
making sure she's all right.
Hope it's his. That's alright, you can say that. Right? I do hope it's his.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, we hope it's your kid, Will. Your question, mate. Assuming Khan looks good in April, fuck Khan. Who would you like to see
Oh,
him
he
fight?
loves Khan. He fucking
Does he?
loves Amir Khan.
You're telling me that the most pathetic thing you've ever fucking seen in your life. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw water over you because I'm a bad man. It was pathetic.
Yeah, it was.
Who would you like to see him fight in the summer and then at the end of the year? I'd hope he loses and fucking goes back to the jungle and fucks off.
Wow. Do you want to tell us how you really feel, or you?
Powerful.
The Brook fight is gone. Couldn't care less about it. He'll beat Phil LaGreco, who looks like I don't even know what he looks
He
like.
looks like a character for Sesame Street, that cunt, doesn't he?
He does. He's about 4'9". He's got a bit of a chunky head, but he likes to talk. He's quite funny. I found the Kardashian shit quite funny.
Yeah, the pictures and stuff like that.
Amir Khan put all around Twitter a few months ago that Anthony Joshua's banging his wife and this, that, and the other, and then gets mad when someone talks about it. Yeah. Or did he really get mad? Or was Eddie Hearn going, you know, we were competing with Frampton Donaire that night. Do us a favour, fucking spice it up a bit.
If you're a boxing fan and you choose Can Le Greco over Frampton Donaire, you have to.
Sweet Caroline will be there, mate.
Pick another sport, man. That's mental. Also, by that concept, it means Will should throw water over me. I've insinuated that his child might not be his.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But water is it's a bit pussy, isn't it?
It's just you're close enough to throw a shot.
Or just throw like a bottle or a glass, so not the actual water.
Fuck's sake, West London.
We don't fuck about where I'm from, brother. No, just
a glass.
Mate, Derek Chisora's done it. David Hayes done it.
Tables.
Yeah.
David Hayes punched with a bottle in his hand.
That was
gangster
class.
Is that?
He's a gangster, man. That's the Bermondsey in him, isn't it?
Answering the question, well, mate, I would like to see him fight. Hopefully, someone like Granados. That'd be a good fight. And then I'd like to see him finish the year and finish the initial deal by fighting Broner at the end of the year. And then I think he'll renegotiate for the Kilbrook fight early the year after. That would be my blueprint.
Now I've said it before. I don't dislike Emmet Khan. I think he's just a bit pathetic, really. But he's been in tough fights, and you know you think he's more famous for getting knocked out, which is true. Is his best days gone, Tyler? When we look at Emmet Khan, is there any relevant fights for him? In all honesty, is there anything we really care about with him?
I think it's got to be the Kilbrook fight. I think
you still care.
Not overly.
See what I mean?
I think that's the only sort of. Do you know what? Like, it's quite frustrating, really, Amir Khan, because I think that actually he's underachieved so much. I think if he was more worried about actually boxing than he was about making money and being a celebrity and everything else, you know, he could have easily been a 2-weight world champion. I think he just like, you know, the Canelo fight, moving up to like middleweight and things like that. I just think, you know, he's just chasing a pound. He's just chasing a pound note all the time. And I think if he was just more worried about actually going for the world titles, fighting in eliminators and things like that, I think, like, you know, he looked really good when he fought Colazzo, didn't he? And then he fought, was it Devon Alexander? He looked really good in them two fights and that. And you thought, do you know what? He's going to be a world champion at welterweight. And then all of a sudden he's moving up to middleweight to fight Alvarez. I just think, you know, like, to be honest, like, he was boxing alright in that fight, but you knew what the outcome was going to be.
Get caught
because he just wasn't big enough, and you know. But like I say, he just seems to me like he's too busy chasing the pound note rather than.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Belts.
Shit, that wasn't the last question. This question's actually probably the best one yet. Paul Walker. It's not the Paul Walker. He's not speaking from beyond the grave. He went in the Porsche. Was he? He's not him.
Fuck's sake.
What? I'm just wondering.
Fast and the Furious 14 coming out soon. 13, so unlucky in it. So, this is a funny story, Paul Walker. So I said I'd say how I met Paul Walker. Great guy from Scotland. I'm on all these boxing forums on Facebook just for posting interviews I write or sharing stuff that we do. And he asked a question on one about ring walks and I answered them. That was it. There's 100,000 people on the fucking forum. He posted a question about ring walks. I answered him what time it would be. And it was for the Josh Taylor fight in Edinburgh. So I've travelled up from London to Edinburgh for the fight. Go there with my mate. And I'm walking to the bar in a dark fucking arena. To the bar, loads of people pushing by. I'm like, Craig? I've turned around, I don't know who this guy is. Right, I'm like that. Alright mate, how you doing? How's things been? I don't know who the fuck he is. He goes, Paul, from Facebook. I'm like, fucking Paul Walker. He's like, aye, Craig Scott fighter. I went, aye, how you doing? Just randomly met in the dark after exchanging one comment.
That's not the first
Facebook.
man you've ever met in the dark.
So yeah, shout out Paul Walker, big boxing fan. Supports all the fighters from Scotland and the UK. So shout out to you, mate. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Not in the dark again. Hopefully. Fuck it. If it's good for you, it's good for me. Could or should more be done for boxers after they call time on their career? For some, they make smart business moves. For others, boxing is all they know, and they can be left on the scrap heap and cannot cope. Harold the Bomber Graham being the most recent case of this.
Great question.
So we'll throw that over to the boxer.
Well, basically, I reckon. I don't know the white collar boxer. Right,
no, 100%. It's like with football, don't they have like a
union?
Yeah, like a union thing. Like 1,000,000%. They should. So much more should be done for fighters. It's like I say, touching on it earlier about most boxers coming from like that working class background and things like that. All they've wanted to do is be boxers all their life. So it's pretty much all they know, really. It's all I know, really. Like obviously, I'm now
driving tractors and stuff. Sometimes.
Well, I don't do that very well, but so I think a lot of people, it's sort of like, it's a short career, boxing. It's a very short career. And then when it's done, a lot of fighters just don't know where to turn next. They just don't know what to do with themselves and things like that. And a lot of boxers suffer depression and all sorts of stuff. And then a lot of careers are obviously cut short because of injuries and things like that. So again, like, where do you go from that? So yeah, it should there should be like a union like there is in football, really.
It's hard. You've got to wonder why it hasn't, because you boys, everyone in boxing pays an annual fee, right?
Yeah.
I only know this because I wanted to look at the book of rules, so I ordered one from the board the other day, and at the front it says your fees for the year. Promoter pays 500 something a year.
Yeah.
All the way down to down to the whip. You know what I mean? Everyone's paying into the British Boxing Board of Control per year. They also, get purses, I'd imagine, and stuff. So where's that money going? Obviously they've got to pay people's wages. I'm not saying there's people who work for the board, but a lot of the guys will be paid by the promoters of the show, depending on their role. So, is there no way they can put a fund? There has to be something, and there has to be a reason why this hasn't been done, I'd imagine, because it sounds like common sense. Look after your own. Look after the guys that have given their lives to your organisation.
Well,
I don't know how to.
But where do you draw the line, though?
Because a guy who has won fight and then retired.
That's what I mean. So a guy can come and have 6 fights off the back of no amateur experience because it's trendy.
Yeah.
Not as trendy as Tyler, but it's trendy. Does he deserve the same sort of respect and care after he retires than Harold Graham or somebody that was in the game for 25 years? Where do you draw the line there?
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard. Like I thought I was scheduled to fight Johnny Garton a couple of years back, and I've trained for 10 weeks. I've been coming up and down to Essex, training 2 or 3 times a day. You can imagine all the training expenses, everything else, and then a week and a half out, I broke my hand. And obviously you don't get paid unless you fight. So I think I'd done about $2,000 on training expenses for that fight, thinking I'm going to get that back from obviously boxing. Broke my hand. I couldn't work. And obviously I didn't box, didn't get paid. So, and my daughter was being born a month later. So I was like in that situation there, where like you're on your own. You're left on your own. You got no help at all. You are literally.
I think that's crazy. They don't pay.
But again, where do you draw the line? So Tyler has no real. He doesn't really want to fight Garton. He says I'll do it, and he pulls out a week before and gets paid. It can't.
No. Yeah.
It's a real hard one to get your head around. Where surely they can cover your expenses, but then how do they know you? It's a real difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who would cover it? Is a promoter going to cover 10 guys that end up not fighting on his show because not small promoters, I'd imagine, couldn't afford that straight away. But then why is the fighter left out of pocket? It's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. So the answer to should more be done 100%.
Yeah.
Can or could there? I don't know. Maybe the board work.
I don't think there's enough money in boxing.
Yeah.
Full stop. And, football. You imagine the money that's being generated in that, and I mean, guys are on $350,000 a week. It's just the amount of money that is in football. It's just not enough money in boxing for there to be something like that. So I don't think it will ever happen, but it should be done.
Yeah, and you just don't really hear a lot about. I mean, obviously we've heard a lot about Harold Graham recently, but all these other guys that are struggling with stuff, and how many guys retire and then have to fill that gap in their life, and they fill it with using coke. Joe Calzaghe, Ricky Hatton, the big Tyson Fury. They have to fill it with other things, and they're always chasing that thing that fills their life up for them. So it's tough, man. It's tough. It's just it's a lonely fucking sport. Like you've covered, Tyler, in detail, man. You feel as though you got the support, and you feel as though you got the love and all that sort of stuff. But listen, I'm a bank manager. I'm really nice to all my staff because I know if they need to do me a favour, they'll want to do it if I've been nice to them. So it's a game at the end of the day, innit? And if you if you manage people a certain way, they'll always do things for you, and they'll think that they'll doing it because you're mates. But like you said, when you open your eyes to it and go, at the end of the day, he's still my boss, or he's still the one that's he's pulling the strings at the top. It leaves you wide open, man. It's a shame, especially for young guys coming into the game.
Yeah. That's all the questions we're going to go over. As always, we like to finish up with our guests sort of talking to us about, well, it depends on who it is, where they've come from, but with you, I want to talk, what does 2018 look like for you, and talk to us a little bit about your gym and what you're doing now.
Well, 2018 is looking, it's going to be tough with my boxing. It's my last fight against Adam Barker, I tore my labrum in my shoulder, so now I'm waiting for a date for an operation, so I could pretty much say that 2018 is a write-off, as in I won't be boxing this year, because it's 4 to 6 months recovery.
And your fee still has to be paid to the board, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course it does, yeah. So if I don't pay for my licence, I'll then have to go in front of the board when I want to fight again. So it's like, yes. So yeah, no, I'm hoping obviously 2019 I'll be back. But yeah, we've all going well. I mean, the shoulder thing I've done the injuries. James DeGale's just had it done.
Yeah.
That's what and he's actually still saying that it's still affecting him in his last fight, and that whether that was an excuse or whatever, but he was saying that he couldn't punch.
Well, he definitely didn't box as well as he has done previously, so, whether it's linked or not. So you know what I mean?
I'm hoping that I can come back. I can come back from this and that, but it's just so tough because obviously I've got to make a living as well. So it's like
got a little girl, haven't you?
Yeah. So
what's happening? Tell us about you said you started your own gym and you're doing, like, is it personal training?
Yeah.
Because that's fantastic to hear you're doing that sort of stuff, mate. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I've got my own gym in Ely, just outside of Ely in Cambridgeshire. Like just doing one-on-one personal training, or pairs and mates, mainly like sort of little classes. Then I've got a boot camp as well. So just whatever people want to do. What if they want to lose weight, get fit, but then obviously have the people who want to learn how to box as well. So yeah, it's great. It's I mean, to be able to do a job that you love doing I'm very lucky. So in the sort of respect where I say about I didn't make a lot out of boxing in terms of money, but it's given me a job that I love. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that respect.
And anybody interested in doing that sort of stuff or hitting you up for that, how would they get a hold of you, mate, if they don't know?
So I'm on Facebook at El Tornado Tyler Goodjohn, Instagram Tornado Tyler, and Twitter Tornado Tyler as well. So anyone interested in learning boxing or getting fit or boot camps or whatever, message me for details.
Nice, 100%.
Nice.
I think you're the first guest we've had on. Like we spoke, kind of since we've been doing it in person, we sort of in the early stages of the pod we had a sort of more of just over the phone interviews like Dillian White and things like that. But since we've actually had the boys come down, have the nice personal thing, you're the first person that you can honestly say has lived. Like a lot of these guys are on the come up, which is what we like to do. We like to support the boys on the come up. But you've been on the end of, the worst parts of boxing. Whether you see it yourself or whatever. Some of the stories that come out and that you've personally been through, it's crazy for me to hear the dark side, which is what it is, isn't it? And honestly, mate, thank you very much for your time and coming down. We appreciate it.
No, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice to. It's great to talk. I love boxing. Like I say, I don't watch as much anymore, perhaps because I'm a little bit bitter about things. But it's nice to talk to people who love the sport, and that. I've got. I've been through some real hard times, but I have enjoyed every minute of it as well. I'm very lucky to have fought in the venues I have on TV and things like that. It's just, I'm very proud of all that, but. It's a hard game. What I will say, like I say, to like young people wanting to turn professional, is definitely go in with your eyes wide open. I perhaps didn't have people telling me that when I was a bit younger, and I had to learn for myself. But
just be aware.
Just be aware.
I just want to throw in a last question because I'll kick myself if I didn't ask. what's your best moment in boxing that you've experienced yourself, and what's your lowest moment in boxing if you haven't touched on it already? If you have, then.
I think, you know, winning the English title at the O2 live on Sky on the undercard of Anthony Joshua. I don't think you can.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Done all right, I guess.
You can't really beat that, but yeah, no, I've just. Do you know what? Like the biggest thing, I've got some really good memories, like on training camps, like when we trained out in Marbella and things like that. Just having that like little team of you all guys working together, like they're memories that I'll always cherish. Do you know what I mean? Like because they were some real good days. And if I could go back and do it all again, you know, choose to go back and do it all again, I'd choose them times, because it all goes too quick. Do you know what I mean? Like now, I wish I was training for a fight. There was like 5 or 6 of us lads in Marbella training for a fight. Brilliant, they're brilliant times. I love all that, and I think that, you know, that team mentality, that's what probably you miss most when it's gone now. And I think a lot of people, when they do eventually leave boxing, that's what they probably miss, that gym atmosphere and everything else, you know. So yeah, that's definitely what I miss most.
Yeah, as I said, mate, absolute pleasure to have you on. It's really an eye opener for me, that some of the things people go through and the way careers take you, and it's crazy. But you know, you'll be back 2019, back in them big fights, as we know, them good, tough, hard fights. You're still young, not even anywhere near 30, wanker, just because I'm a bit older.
Younger than me as well, Jesus.
You wouldn't know about a beard, innit? He's got a beard.
Alright, mate, I can't fucking grow a beard, I've been trying. Now listen, I've enjoyed this probably more than I've enjoyed the other ones that we've done, just because of the content. It's been really good, so appreciate the honesty, mate, always. Yeah, a couple of last things from me. Shout out everybody that was there last night. Shout out everybody who's going to be at Groves Eubank. We're going to try and do one on the Sunday after Groves Eubank. So anybody that wants to get involved, get their voice on here, have a bit of banter.
Do we know how we're doing it yet? What are we doing?
Nah, we'll fucking sort it out. We'll do it in the back of a car or something, I don't know.
You've been in the back of a car a lot lately, haven't you?
Oh, come
back
on.
of a car, dark rooms.
2 jokes about my sex
Your
life in the one
sexuality,
podcast.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You're lucky my bird doesn't listen. Well, all my birds. Yeah, listen, it's been fantastic. Fuck Frankie Gavin. Mickey Helliott's a fucking snake.
Why are you bullying Mickey Elliott all the time? We
Mickey
can't go one pod without you fucking talking about poor Mickey
Are
Elliott.
you going to miss his fucking shows if you don't get in? No, you won't. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. Peace, motherfuckers.
This has been the Fight Talk podcast.